Welcome to Fix the Funnel with GA Fix. This is episode number 24.
Hey, everyone.
So picture this. You have just spent, let's say, $50,000 on a massive Black Friday ad campaign.
Right, a really big push.
Yeah, exactly. The ad copy is brilliant, the creative is stunning, and you can actively see the money just draining from your bank account over in Google Ads.
Oh, yeah, you're watching the budget disappear in real time.
Right, and the clicks are rolling in, so you feel good. So you open up your Google Analytics 4 dashboard to see the actual return on that investment, expecting this wave of glorious conversion data.
And you see nothing.
Exactly, zero. It is completely blank. The paid campaign figures you are looking for are simply missing.
Yeah, it's a massive panic-inducing moment for any business.
Because you rely on that data for your budgets, your strategy, basically your entire path forward.
It is a terrifying moment, honestly.
Yeah.
You are watching capital leave the business on the Google Ads side, but on the GA4 side, it's just an absolute ghost town.
A complete void.
Yeah. And what is so important to understand is that this is one of the top implementation pitfalls happening across the entire industry right now.
Wow. Really? The top pitfall?
Oh, absolutely. Because when that dashboard is empty, people immediately assume their ads are failing. But more often than not, the ads are actually working perfectly. It's just that the tracking is, well, fundamentally broken.
So today our mission for this deep dive is to really pull back the curtain on exactly why GA4 misses Google Ads data.
Yeah, we're going to get into all of it.
We are going to explore how to fix the linking, the tagging, and the conversion issues using GA Fix's auditing capabilities.
Because you really need to patch these gaps before they completely ruin your performance insights.
Exactly. So let's unpack this from the very beginning, like at the root of the problem. It seems to start with this massive misunderstanding of what GA4 actually is.
Yeah, that's exactly right. The root of the problem is treating GA4 like it is just, a routine software update.
Like updating your phone.
Right? People think of it like updating the operating system on their smartphone. The interface looks a bit more modern, but you assume all your photos, your text messages, and your contacts are still safely sitting right where you left them.
Yeah, I mean, that's how software usually works.
But GA4 is not an update.
Yeah.
It is a completely new paradigm. It works fundamentally differently from the old Universal Analytics.
But wait, I mean, Google built Universal Analytics and they built GA4. They own the entire ecosystem.
Right.
So why on earth wouldn't they just build a migration tool that ports all that historical data over automatically? It seems absolutely insane that they'd just let you lose your Black Friday data from previous years.
I know, it sounds incredibly frustrating. But it really comes down to architectural incompatibility.
Okay, what does that mean in plain English?
Well, Universal Analytics was entirely session-based. A session is essentially a container of time.
Right.
But GA4, on the other hand, relies entirely on event-based tracking. An event is a specific individual interaction, like a click, a scroll, a video play.
So they speak totally different languages.
Exactly. You simply cannot pour a bucket of time-based sessions into a database built for discrete events. The translation literally just does not exist.
Man, it is like moving into a newly built house across town, but you just sort of assume the old plumbing miraculously teleported with you.
That is a great way to put it.
You walk into the new kitchen, you turn on the faucet, and you expect water. But the pipes aren't even connected to the main line yet.
That analogy hits the nail on the head. Because businesses set GA4 up incredibly quickly. They paste the code on their site and just assume it works because the old system worked.
Yeah, the old set it and forget it mentality.
Right. But GA4 does not automatically inherit your account links, your legacy goals, or your filters. Because the foundation is entirely new, these small misconfigurations compound really rapidly.
And then you get that total data blackout.
Exactly. The Google Ads campaigns are live, they're spending real money, but the platforms are not speaking the same language yet.
Which brings up a really crucial question about that plumbing. Let's say I realize my mistake. I go into the settings, I find the admin panel, and I finally connect the pipes.
Okay.
I explicitly link the Google Ads account to my GA4 property. If the old Universal Analytics link didn't carry over, does that mean all the historical campaign data just ports over once I finally establish that new connection?
No. No, it does not.
Wait, not at all.
Not at all. And this is a harsh reality that catches so many businesses completely off guard.
Yeah.
Google Ads data will never flow into GA4 reports retroactively.
Wait, never. So if I ran this massive summer campaign and I didn't get around to setting up the link properly until like October, that summer data is just gone from GA4 forever.
Yeah, it is permanently lost inside your analytics environment.
Oh, wow.
I mean, you will still have the cost and click data over in Google Ads because
Yeah.
that platform generated it, but you will have absolutely no way to analyze how those specific users behaved on your website within GA4 for that time period.
That's brutal.
It really is. You won't know their bounce rate, their engagement time, or their cross-device paths. If that link isn't established early and correctly, the historical behavioral data simply does not exist.
That really underscores why the infrastructure just has to be perfect from day one.
It does. And linking isn't just about, clicking a button. The link must be active, it must be verified from both platforms, and it must be granted the exact correct permissions.
Right, it's a two-way street.
Exactly. Often, a platform like GA4 will run an audit and detect that the initial connection between the platforms is there, but the critical data sharing settings are completely disabled.
So the pipes are physically touching, but the valve inside them is shut tight.
The data can't flow at all.
Okay, so let's say we've connected the pipes and we've opened the valve. The settings are completely correct.
Right.
Because I've seen cases where everything is officially linked and the data still doesn't show up. It's like the traffic is walking through the door in a disguise.
Oh, absolutely.
Which brings us to the silent data killers, auto-tagging, and the GCLID problem.
Yeah, auto-tagging is essentially the backbone of tracking from ads to GA4. If auto-tagging is accidentally turned off in your Google Ads account, GA4 has literally no automatic way of identifying that incoming traffic came from a paid campaign.
But the real silent killer is what happens out on the open web, even when auto-tagging is actually turned on.
Right.
For anyone who hasn't looked closely at their URLs, the GCLID is that incredibly messy string of random characters at the end of a link after you click an ad.
Yes, the tracking tail.
It's basically a digital fingerprint. But how exactly does it get lost? I mean, how does a simple website redirect destroy it?
Let's trace the actual mechanics of a click. Say a user clicks your Google ad on their phone. Google instantly generates that GCLID, the Google Click Identifier, and it slaps it onto the end of your landing page URL. This tag tells GA4 exactly which campaign, ad group, and keyword drove the specific click. But let's say your ad points to the HTTP version of your website, and your server is configured to automatically redirect all traffic to the secure HTTPS version.
Which is a completely standard security practice. Everyone does that.
Right. It's best practice. But during that split-second server hop from HTTP to HTTPS, the server says, you want this secure version of the page instead.
Okay.
And to be helpful, it often strips away all the extra query parameters to deliver what it thinks is a clean URL. It literally cuts off the tracking tail attached to the original link. The GCLID gets left behind in the void.
Wow, so the ad worked perfectly. The user is sitting right there on our landing page with their wallet out.
Yes.
But because of a split-second server hop, GA4 has absolutely no idea they came from a paid ad.
Exactly. They walk through the door, but their name tag has been scrubbed off entirely. So GA4 looks at them and categorizes them as direct traffic.
That's so frustrating.
And this doesn't just happen with security redirects either. If you have a URL that ends in a specific word, and your server automatically adds a trailing slash to the end of the URL, that tiny formatting redirect can also drop the GCLID.
Wait, really? Just a slash?
Just a trailing slash. CMS plugins, complex site architectures, and strict content security policies can all just silently strip this parameter away.
That is terrifying. Because
Oh.
everything looks completely fine on the surface, you know? You click the ad to test it, the site loads instantly, the page looks beautiful.
But the data connection is completely severed in the background.
And it's not just the GCLID breaking. Inconsistent UTM tagging is another massive headache.
Oh, massive. If auto-tagging fails, or if a marketing team is trying to, manually tag their campaigns using custom UTM parameters, the risk of human error skyrockets.
Right, because humans are typing it in.
Exactly. A UTM tag is just manual text added to a URL. But GA4 is incredibly literal. If one team member tags a campaign as Facebook ad with a capital F and another tags it as Facebook ad all lowercase,
GA4 treats those as two completely different traffic sources.
two entirely different sources.
So you end up with a highly fragmented dashboard.
Even worse, if your UTM source, medium, or campaign names don't perfectly align with Google's default channel groupings, GA4 doesn't even know how to categorize them at all.
Oh, no.
It'll take perfectly good paid traffic and dump it into the unassigned or direct buckets.
Wow.
This creates that nightmare scenario where your Google Ads dashboard shows 1,000 expensive clicks, but your GA4 dashboard shows 0 paid traffic. You just see this mysterious, unexplained spike in direct visitors.
And over time, teams start to doubt the platforms. They start assuming Google Analytics is just completely broken,
Exactly.
which is really where the auditing aspect of GA Fix becomes so critical. It actively audits your source, medium, and campaign naming patterns to, flag the inconsistencies that are confusing GA4.
Yeah, that's exactly what it does.
And more importantly, it simulates the click journey, validating your landing pages to ensure they're actually holding on to that GCLID parameter all the way through the final page load, so it survives any redirects.
Right. By doing that, you just eliminate the guesswork entirely. You aren't staring at a blank dashboard, wondering if it's a code issue, a server issue, or just a human error issue.
Let's assume we've cleared that hurdle, we've fixed the plumbing, we've made sure our visitors are keeping their name tags on through all the server hops.
Okay, perfect scenario.
The links are good, the tags survive the journey. Now, finally, our conversion numbers should match up perfectly between Google Ads and GA4, right?
Well, you would hope so. But this is where we run into a major translation problem.
Another problem.
Yeah. Even with perfect links and perfectly surviving tags, your conversion numbers might still look completely wrong.
And a big part of that is what we can call the waiting game.
Yes.
Because GA4 has massive processing delays compared to older systems. We're talking 24 to 48 hours for data to fully process and settle.
It's a long time.
Why is it taking 2 whole days to count a simple purchase?
Well, it isn't just a slow server issue, if
Yeah.
that's what you're thinking. GA4 is performing highly complex identity resolution behind the scenes.
Okay, what does that involve?
It's basically waiting to stitch together cross-device user journeys. Think about how real people shop.
Right.
If I click your ad on my phone while riding the subway on Tuesday morning, but I don't actually buy your product until I'm sitting at my desktop computer at work on Wednesday afternoon.
Oh, I see.
GA4 needs time to realize those two different devices belong to the exact same person. It has to wait for all the data packets to arrive, process the identifiers like Google Signals or user IDs, and then actually merge those sessions.
I think of how it all act when we order a package online. You get the FedEx tracking number, and you start aggressively refreshing the page every 10 minutes, expecting it to be on your porch.
Exactly.
If a user doesn't know about this cross-device stitching delay in GA4, they look at the dashboard at hour 12, see data not available, and completely panic.
And that panic leads to terrible, destructive decisions.
Like what?
Well, they assume their tracking setup is broken. So they go back into Google Tag Manager, they change the tags, they alter the configuration of a perfectly good setup, and they inadvertently break it.
Just because they couldn't wait 48 hours?
Yes, because they simply couldn't wait for the data to populate. Patience is quite literally a technical requirement here.
Wow. I get the theory behind patience, but let's talk about the philosophical clash happening between these platforms.
Sure.
Even when the data settles after 48 hours, the numbers still don't match. Why are these platforms built by the exact same company fighting over who gets the credit for a single sale?
Because they were built with entirely different jobs in mind. Google Ads is essentially a digital salesperson.
Oh.
Its job is to prove the direct value of the ad you just bought. Traditionally, it leans really heavily on last click or ad-focused attribution.
Right, so it wants to claim the win.
Exactly. The ad that got the final click before the purchase gets 100% of the glory.
It wants to justify your ad spend so you keep spending.
Precisely. GA4, on the other hand, is an ecosystem mapper. It uses data-driven attribution by default. It looks at the entire messy customer journey.
Right, the subway to desktop journey you mentioned.
Exactly. Maybe the user clicked a paid ad on Monday, came back via an organic Google search on Wednesday, and finally purchased after clicking a promotional email link on Friday.
Okay, so 3 touch points.
Right. GA4's data-driven model will mathematically redistribute the credit for that single conversion across all 3 of those touch points.
So Google Ads claims 1 full conversion, but GA4 might say your ad only deserves like 0.3 of a conversion.
Yes. When you compare the 2 platforms, the numbers will inherently look different. It is a feature, it's not a bug.
But if you don't understand that underlying logic, you'll think your data is bleeding out somewhere.
Exactly. You'll think something is broken.
And to actually get those conversions to communicate with each other, there is a very specific, unforgiving, multi-step process, right? It isn't automatic.
Not at all. First, a user action in GA4, like a purchase or a form submission, must be explicitly toggled on and marked as a conversion event.
Okay, that sounds easy enough.
But that's only step 1. You then have to physically go into the Google Ads interface, Navigate to conversions, import that specific GA4 conversion event, and then mark it as primary inside Google Ads.
And if you miss even one of those steps, let's say you forget to mark it as primary.
It breaks the entire optimization feedback loop.
Yeah.
If events are firing beautifully on your site but they aren't imported, or if they're imported but accidentally left as secondary actions, Google Ads will not use those conversions to train its algorithm or optimize your bidding.
That is a huge deal.
It gets worse. The naming conventions have to be identical.
Yeah.
If you name an event purchase with a capital P in GA4 and purchase complete in ads, that tiny naming discrepancy could just sever the connection.
And again, you wouldn't necessarily know why your bidding algorithm is failing just by looking at the surface. You just see your ad performance tanking over time.
Yeah, you just think the ads were bad.
Which is exactly why GA Fix is so useful here. It identifies those exact events, the ones firing perfectly on the website, but failing to promote to actual primary conversions because of a minor naming mismatch or, a skipped step in the integration process.
Right, it maps the whole chain to find the weak link so you don't have to hunt for it.
Okay, we are really moving through the gauntlet here.
We are.
Let's say we've waited the 48 hours, our events are perfectly named, the conversion is marked primary, auto-tagging is flawless.
Okay, the dream setup.
Right. And yet, we still have a blank dashboard. At this point, the problem isn't the ad platforms at all, is it? We've hit the invisible walls.
Ah, yes. The technical missteps and privacy controls in the environment itself.
These seem like the most frustrating hurdles because they happen completely behind the scenes. Let's look at Google Tag Manager, or GTM, where most tracking is actually deployed.
Yeah, this is where things get really messy.
What are the silent failures happening inside GTM? Give me a mechanical example.
A classic invisible wall is the measurement ID mismatch. Let's say your development team is testing a brand new checkout flow on a staging server.
Okay.
They do the smart thing and use a test GA4 property so they don't pollute your live business data with fake test purchases.
Right. Very standard.
The new checkout works perfectly. They push the code live to the main website. But in the rush of deployment, they forget to swap the test measurement ID back to your live production measurement ID.
Oh, man. It hurts to even think about.
It's awful. The tags are firing perfectly. The data is structured beautifully. But your live checkout data is now flowing directly into a black hole test property that no one is even looking at.
So to GA4, your live sales have just dropped to 0.
Exactly. Another common error is configuring tags to fire only on specific pages rather than globally, so user journeys are constantly breaking in half.
Oh, I've seen that.
Or doing all the hard work to build the tags, but simply forgetting to hit the publish button in GTM to actually push those changes to the live site.
So GFix basically comes in and checks all of that.
Yes, it automatically verifies tag presence, firing consistency, and checks for those exact measurement ID mismatches to catch human error before it costs you a week of data.
That is so vital. But the biggest invisible wall right now, and maybe the most philosophically complex one to navigate, is the rise of privacy controls. Consent mode and data thresholds.
Absolutely.
GA4 introduced much stricter privacy measures than we ever had in Universal Analytics.
Significantly stricter, and that's really driven by evolving global privacy laws like GDPR and CCPA. GA4 utilizes these strict data thresholds to protect user anonymity.
Okay, how does that actually look in the dashboard?
Well, if a specific campaign or a demographic report has a very low volume of traffic, say, only 5 or 6 people, GA4 will literally suppress that data from your reports.
It just hides it.
It hides the rows entirely, so you cannot reverse engineer the identity of those individual users based on their specific behaviors or interests.
It feels like we are almost punishing our own dashboards for being compliant. Is the data truly missing, or is it just hiding behind a privacy curtain that we built ourselves?
It is definitely hiding. The data was collected, but the platform just refuses to show it to you. And cookie consent banners add a massive immediate layer to this whole thing.
Right, the banners we all click on 100 times a day.
Exactly. Let's walk through a real scenario. A user searches for your product on Google. They see your ad and they click it. Google Ads immediately registers that click and charges your account, say, $2.
Okay, the cost is locked in.
Exactly. The user lands on your site, and a massive cookie consent banner pops up on their screen. They hit decline all.
As many people do.
Right. Because you have consent mode active, GA4 is legally obligated to respect that choice. It cannot set a tracking cookie.
Okay, so what happens next?
The user browses your site, adds a product to their cart, and buys a $500 item. But because they declined cookies, GA4 drops their identifier. To GA4, That purchase might show up as completely unassigned traffic, or it might not be tied to the Google Ads click at all.
So you have a $2 cost in ads, a $500 sale in your back-end payment processor, and GA4 is just shrugging its shoulders.
Yep.
The ad functioned perfectly, but because of the privacy choice, GA4 has to act like the customer journey never even happened.
That is the reality of modern analytics. Google has developed workarounds, like advanced consent mode, which sends these cookieless pings.
What are those?
It's basically a generic signal saying, hey, a conversion happened, but I can't tell you who did it.
Hmm.
Google then uses machine learning to model that data and estimate your conversions.
Okay, but I assume there's a catch.
There is a huge catch. You need a massive amount of historical traffic to train that machine learning model. For a small or medium business, if users decline cookies, a huge chunk of that data is just gone.
And business owners look at their reports, see missing data, and assume the tracking code is broken. They probably spend weeks trying to fix it.
When it's actually working exactly as legally required, this is a primary reason GA Fix audits these exact consent signals.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah, it acts as a second pair of expert eyes to definitively tell you, hey, your tracking code is flawless, your data is just being suppressed by your own privacy thresholds and consent rules. It literally stops you from chasing ghosts in your code.
And sometimes, to add insult to injury, users are just looking in the wrong room entirely.
Oh, all the time.
Because beginners often just open the standard default traffic reports in GA4 and see nothing. But Google Ads data actually lives in very specific places now, right?
Yes, GA4 displays this data primarily in the advertising workspace, the specific user acquisition reports, and the dedicated ads campaigns reports.
So it's totally segregated.
It is. If you are just staring at the default traffic overview, you might get the complete illusion that your data is missing when it's actually just filed in a different cabinet.
Yeah. It really all comes back to that initial point. GA4 is not universal analytics. You have to learn where the furniture is in the new house.
You do. And you don't have to guess or learn by trial and error. That is the whole point of running your configurations through a systematic audit. You validate the foundation, you clear the technical roadblocks, and you let the platform do what it was built to do.
So let's summarize everything we've unpacked today. When your Google Ads data goes missing in GA4, it is almost never a case of missing clicks.
Right.
The ads are usually doing their job, and your money isn't just evaporating. The root cause comes down to 3 core areas: setup, timing, or attribution.
Yes. The foundation just has to be absolutely flawless from the start.
GA4 demands precision.
Yeah.
You cannot just paste a line of code and walk away. You have to ensure your accounts are fully linked with the correct data sharing valves open.
Crucial step.
You have to protect that fragile gclid parameter from being scrubbed by everyday server redirects. You have to be patient enough to wait out the 48-hour cross-device stitching delays and precise enough to align your conversion events perfectly so the platforms can actually talk to each other.
Exactly.
And above all, you have to understand how your own privacy settings and consent banners are filtering your view of reality.
It is a gauntlet, honestly, but the payoff is worth it. When that foundation is finally fixed and audited with tools like GA Fix, GA4 delivers an unprecedented level of insight into the modern customer journey.
It is a remarkably powerful engine, but only once the pipes are actually connected correctly.
Well said.
Which brings me to a final thought I want to leave you with, especially based on our deep dive into consent mode and privacy thresholds. We are already seeing today how strict privacy rules and cookie banners can hide perfectly good ad data behind a legal curtain.
Oh, yeah.
If that is the reality we're dealing with right now, how will you have to adapt to measure marketing success in a future where individual user tracking might disappear entirely?
Wow, yeah.
It is definitely something to think about the next time you look at a blank dashboard.